Hi guys, this is Ivan and I am really happy to have you here. Today I want to speak a little bit about the basics of a portrait tattooing and actually how I am doing it. First of all, I want to thank you for watching my video, and if you like the idea of this content, hit the like button for more. Now without further ado, let's move on. Having a perfect likeness is one of the most important parts of a portrait, but catching the right emotions going out of it is actually what will make it special. You can see I'm making the stencil by hand right before I start the piece. The reason why I don't use a digital one is that I want to feel the atmosphere of the day itself. It is really important for me to get familiar with the picture and then represent the right emotions into the tattoo. That's actually why I'm loving doing portraits. It is something great in the air when I'm doing one. So when I'm doing a realistic project, I'm usually starting from the bottom up. Like this, I avoid too much pain for my customer and also I protect my stencil longer. Here the case is a bit different. I'm going to start the portrait from the darkest part of it. And as you can see, this is the cast shadow under the chin of the boy. The reason I start like this is first of all to see how the skin is reacting to my machine and make some adjustments if it's necessary. The second and actually bigger reason of starting from the shadows is realizing what would be the tones of the portrait and organize the values correctly. Common mistake made by an artist is making not a clear difference of what is in the shadow family and where is actually the light come from. Therefore, it ends up with a flat and sloppy portrait. Using your darks correctly will make your portrait look deep and three-dimensional. So don't be afraid to use dark. Just learn how to control it. As you can see, I'm layering the undertone into the complete part which is in the shadow. Like this, I clearly separate it from the lights even before I start to build it up with the details. Making this help you a lot to structure your portrait and also help your eyes to see the tones correctly. Now instead of you in space, your portrait will always have this beautiful reflected light which I let between the neck and the chin. If you don't know what a reflected light, half tone or the cast shadows are, I will put some links below this video that will explain it in details. And one more free advice for you. Try to step up your drawing skills. This will be with a great value for you in future and will open you a completely new horizon for art. YouTube is a great platform for learning. Know that tattooing is just another technique of drawing. There is the key of the success in it. Once I have all the undertone and shadows, I can come back to the ear and add some darker details. As you can see, I'm not going crazy about details in this phase. Most detailed part will be anyway in the halftones. I decided to let this background behind the head dark, simply because this will make the face look a bit lighter, even with the dark part which I already did. Like this I will have a high contrast in the face, but it will not look overexposed. Remember that the background is very important part of the realistic art. It is there to help your main object. Most of the time I make it silent, just to complete my piece and also to lead the viewer's eyes focused on this what I want them to be focused on. Background is very powerful weapon for the artists. Now here you can see actually the speed I move the machine while I'm putting the first layer of ink. It is important to do as less damage to the skin as possible when you're layering. The complete eye socket goes under the shadow, so that's why before I start with detailing the eye, I tone this part as well. Now, a very common mistake I see every day is hard outlines doing on the eyes in the realistic portrait. Remember that there is no outlines in the real world, so try not to use them while you are tattooing in a realistic style. Of course there are exceptions, and I'm also using outlines sometimes, but I make it intentionally depending on what I'm willing to show to the audience. And sometimes just to make my art more interesting and recognizable. But here we speak about the basic rules, so no outlines. Try to make all the portrait with the correct value, tones and the contrast. Think about this every time you start to do the eyelashes before you prepare the place for the eye into the eye socket. This will be more than enough to have a successful realistic portrait tattoo. Now, few words about the hair. As you can see on the photo, hair is the darkest part of the portrait. It is almost full black instead of few flashes that show up the directions of it. Anyhow, this is all what we need to see when doing the hair. One advice I can give you on this is to look the hair like an abstract forms. Don't try to copy every single hair what you see on the photo. This is practically impossible, and even if it's possible for some of you, it is not necessary, especially in this case where the hair is just a secondary part of the portrait and don't have a main role in it. Try to keep the not important stuff simple. Like this you will control the focus point, where do you want it to be. And in my case, into the face and especially to the shy beautiful smile and the full of life eyes of the boy. Mastering to control the focal point will level up your work tremendously. Once I'm done with the shadow family, I can finally focus on the halftones on the other side of the face. This will be a bit easier now because I already prepared the tone value of the portrait and I just have to follow the rules I set up in the beginning. At this side, I will use a light background which will play a great role at the whole piece. At the beginning of the portrait, I decided to make a shirt of the boy much lighter than the photo. The reason I did this is to bring a bit more contrast to the piece and also to not look flat. I use background which is much lighter than the half tone of the face, but still darker than the shirt. Now I will do a few details into the shirt, and that's all. This will be my lightest part of the portrait, and as you can see, I intentionally let it to the very end. Remember this, you can always come back and darken the lights if necessary, but much more difficult to lighten the darks. The last thing what I'm doing is actually I'm giving a few minute break to my customer and for my eyes as well. And once he's back, I correct some values, darken some parts if necessary, add some highlights, and I'm done. For the highlights I did just a few points in the eyes and a bit in the down lip. I add some on the top of the nose, which normally I never do, but here I felt it necessary as well. I hope you were enjoying this video with me. If yes, you can show me some support by hitting that like button. You can also subscribe to my channel for more content like this in future. I would love to see you in the next video, and feel free to let me know what you want to see in the future episodes. You can shoot your questions on me right on the comment section below or on my Instagram account. I will try to find an answer to all of you. Love you guys and hopefully see you soon.